You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
Hey everybody, it's Jamie Migdal, your host on Pets Mean Business on the Pet Life Radio Network. I'm so glad that you're back. We're recording today. I have my, 31st or 32nd or 33rd, something in the 30s guest. And I'm really excited because this is a special guest to me. So where do I get all these guests? I feel like the question always comes up and people are always asking, can I be on your podcast? And how do you find these folks? And that person was really great. And I never really think about how we are able to acquire these high-level, amazing, impressive guests, I think. So I sat back a little bit and thought about that. In fact, we got a couple of things that happened this week that really made me take stock. And even just the way that this whole show came about and its growing popularity and all the wonderful things, it's just everything's organic. And I don't mean like organic cow's milk. I mean like organic growth and organic opportunity. And I think that, in fact, today's guest is actually a great example of this. When you're in the right place at the right time and you surround yourself with the right people, you end up having things happen and the right things. And you start to you can put those pieces together. And so this show, because of my, extensive background in the pet industry, without even trying, I can look around and I've built this amazing network of people that I'm connected to, whether it's a one-to-one connection or a one-off connection. So I feel really grateful that and I know that, you guys are loving all these wonderful guests too. I feel really grateful that we've had the ability to bring great guests on because of the commitment to being present and being in the, being present to the industry and being present to what's going on around me. And that's my suggestion for you guys always, to be present to what your opportunities are and look for ways that you can innovate beyond whatever you're doing now. So if your goal is to get into the pet industry or move your career further in the pet industry, or just look for ways to monetize your current involvement, the best way that I would recommend going about that is taking a step back and thinking about innovation and how innovation ties directly to empathy. And what I mean by that is, if you think about anything that's being done right now and then someone does it better and you go, oh my gosh, why didn't I think about that? You probably have. And I think that what ends up happening is, if you can look at things around you and figure out a way to include yourself or to get in there, it's all about understanding what the customer or the user is experiencing and creating something better for their experience. So that's where the empathy comes into play as you're looking to innovate in your life, around your career, around your relationships, around your products, whatever it is. So anyway, on that note, that's why today's guest is perfect for this whole topic. So let's see. Should I talk about him now? I think I shall. Yeah, we'll talk about him now. So his name is Larry Kay. And that's K-A-Y. I met Larry at one of these crazy pet events that we all go to and look around and say, who's cool and who can I meet and who can I connect with? I did that with Larry. Larry is a rock star in the pet space. He does some really interesting things around media and has a really interesting background. And for me, when I met him and I noticed it, immediately embodies the idea of innovation and opportunistic thinking. And that's part of being innovative, is looking at what am I doing now and how can I move that forward in a way that's interesting and compelling and innovative. So I'm not going to talk too much about his background. I don't like to do big intros because I feel like it's not my story to tell. And you guys know that I'd like to let the guests speak for themselves and let you guys get to know them again organically. So I will tell you that he does have an incredible website, or Facebook page. I don't even know what to call it. This is like all this new stuff. I don't know what to call this, all this new fancy tech stuff, called PositivelyWoof.com. He's got an enormous following on his Facebook page of almost 2 million pet lovers. And I'm just excited for him to share that journey and talk about what he's doing now, how he got there, what he's doing now, and what he's doing in terms of innovation to leverage what he's been able to accomplish using his background and his love of animals. So when we come back from our break, I'm going to welcome Larry Kay and let him tell you about how killer he is. So on that note, we'll be right back. Thanks for listening.
It's DesignerPetSweaters.com. Hand-knitted designer sweaters for your precious pup or cool cat. beautiful couture patterns for your pets, including custom-knitted formal wear, casual wear, yachting, and even sports-themed. Many designer pet sweaters include feathered tammy hats, top hats, and a lot of sparkle. Each sweater includes leg loops, front paw sleeves, and leash opening. Visit designerpetsweaters.com to order your four-legged fashions today. Your pets will stay warm for the winter and be runway ready. Large or small, we fit them all. designerpetsweaters.com.
Hi, I'm Dana Humphrey, the founder of Whitegate PR. We have been specializing in PR and marketing in the pet industry for over 10 years. If you have a pet product or service you would like to promote, give us a call. We can help create awareness for your brand on TV, radio, magazines, newspapers, and blogs. Feel free to reach me directly at 619-414-9307 or learn more on our website at whitegatepr.com or follow us on Facebook.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
All right, did you all have a good break? All right, good. I'm glad, because we're back and it's time to get serious and have fun and expand our mind and think about all of the ways that you can move things forward through empathy and innovation and putting yourself out there. So I'd like to welcome my guest, who I think, again, is a true embodiment of all of those components. Larry K., come on down. Hi.
Thanks, Jamie. It's great to be with you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be had. I'm happy to be with. You know what I mean. Go ahead.
I really enjoy the emphasis on innovation and empathy. I tend to be very mission-centric with what I do. First, I'm going to kick my credentials a bit. So I now have 2 million Facebook fans. In fact, 2.1 million Facebook fans, positively Woof. And that was not by intention. I mean, it was certainly on my goals list and my vision list, but that it has finally happened is amazing. And it now allows me to really pursue my mission with more vigor and power and to make a difference. And that's about cause marketing on behalf of shelter dogs.
Oh, I can't wait to have you describe what that is, because, our listeners, for the most part, there's a combination of, there's entrepreneurs, there's people who are seeking to be entrepreneurs, there's folks that are looking for a place in a space to get into the pet industry, and there are people kind of across all of the spectrum. So when you talk about cause marketing and you talk about, and you need to talk about your background, cause marketing is awesome because it really does touch upon what needs to happen to really move the animal welfare move the movement forward. So I'm glad that you brought that up already, and we'll absolutely focus on that. Will you please share your incredible background?
Sure. I have always been a media guy my whole career. And in 2002, I was ready to make a transition in my career that I'll get to in a minute, how I came into the pet media space starting in 2002. Before that, I've been a writer and producer and interactive game designer and web product manager for some great companies like Disney and the Muppets, MGM, PBS, a lot of great companies. I used to teach film and television in NYU's film school. I have a master's degree in film and television from Syracuse, the Newhouse School. And so I've always enjoyed media, and through the course of my career, I've enjoyed being on the cutting edge, the leading edge of that next big thing. And so I've seen the advent, I'm old enough to have seen the advent of cable television, this multi-channel cable TV universe that we're now in. I was there at the beginning of CNN and MTV. I've seen now the rise of the internet, and was fortunate to be a senior product manager with the Walt Disney Internet Group right at the turn of the century, which was an extraordinary vantage point to really see that first .com boom and then bust. And now, as I go forward, I'm coming full circle to a place that was really early in my career, and that was about not about pets per se, but it was about communities.
And that's actually interesting with that in that moment right there. Well, and also I think that everything you're talking about so far, and then getting to the moment where you recognize the pattern, you had pattern recognition, and right, and but that is in part how innovation becomes relevant, is when you can recognize a pattern and like you said, get in front of that and create something so you're still trending with those patterns. Because when you're innovating, you don't want to actually have to train for new behaviors in people or in consumers, but you want to be able to take some of their established behaviors and offer them something new around that. So, I mean, what an incredible opportunity for you to have been in all of those wonderful places and all of those incredibly, elaborate, around all those like amazing thinkers and around those big organizations, and probably having, no budgetary constraints, I would imagine, or very few, and be able to move things forward. So please continue. So go ahead, continue on. I just had to make myself, I had to just say this.
I appreciate that context, and yet the pattern that you speak about, I only recognize it in hindsight, which is really funny. What happened was, when I was making the next big transformation in my career, I thought, well, I have a known name in children's media. Let me do some research for myself, some strategic research for myself about how I can begin to leverage and create my own platform, my own brand, if you will. And I quickly realized in my research that, the pet industry is growing, well. And so I saw it initially as a good business opportunity.
Okay, I love that.
What I didn't predict was that I would also be so passionate about it. And I believe that is what has helped me endure. Because even with, all the great data in the world, it's absolutely no guarantee of success.
That's right.
As big a driver as market is going to be perseverance, passion, ongoing professional development.
What happened at the time where so I think that a lot of people get to this place where they're working in a corporate environment and they've had, they've experienced enormous amounts of success and they feel, very kind of protected, that their career is stable and that they've got, from a financial perspective, they're feeling like they're enveloped in something good. What happened for you personally that created this drive to become an entrepreneur? What happened? Because you were obviously in great places.
Yeah, it was the personal thing that happened in my life is my marriage of 20 years dissolved. We just were growing in very different directions and made the mutual decision to part amicably. And so that was in December of 2001. And for the beginning of 2002, I was really at sea. I had lost passion for everything that I was doing. Children's media, online media, interactive media, all things. And it scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, that must have been very discombobulating. That must have been really frightening to recognize that, because, a lot of people feel that way, but a lot of people don't act on it. And I think that's where kind of personal unhappiness really starts to manifest. So the fact that you saw that coming off of a tragedy, a personal trauma, that's divorced, regardless of how amicable something is, that's just a very traumatic transition to go through. So it's interesting that you had some self-awareness, again, some pattern recognition. So there's a pattern around you as well. And so, okay, so we're at the place now that you found that you were unhappy and you were dissatisfied, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, well, a guy who used to work for me, I confided in him this, and it was really scaring me that I just didn't want to do anything. And he recommended a book to me. It's called Now Discover Your Strengths by Marcus Buckingham. Okay. And in it, you take this Strengths Finder test.
Yes, the Gallup Strength Finder.
Exactly.
I just took it this week.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I recommend that book. Unfortunately, the way it works is you have to buy your own copy. Don't buy a used copy. You have to buy a new one in order to get your unique ID code that you bring online to take the Strengths Finder test.
Okay, I had no idea.
Epiphany.
Yeah, I had no idea that you can do that through the book. I thought it was just only digitally. It was just a survey. We took it. I took it as a 45-minute survey. Okay, so it's through the book. You buy the book, and then that book. Okay, everyone, that's a huge deal.
Over the years, this was in 2002, which may seem like the Stone Ages.
So it's probably just online now, is what we're saying. Right?
Yeah. So I took this test, and I got the results of the test. That happens immediately as soon as you finish the test. And I just jumped up out of the chair and I said, "That's me."
What was it? What were your top
organization 5? Gets me.
Wait, what was do you remember your top 5?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Tell me.
Well, they have these cool words, as you probably know. There are 34 strengths, and the thesis of the book is you have only 5, and you have them in a particular order.
Yes, I do. So I'm telling you, this is amazing. Please keep going. I won't interrupt you.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
So in rank order, my number 1 strength is ideation, and that's the world of ideas. My number 2 strength is strategic, and that's strategy, synthesizing the seemingly complex into an organic whole. And already right there, stopping at number 1 and number 2, that's what began to make me jump out of my chair. Because when I was a writer, ideation, I felt like a fraud because I had this strategic side to me. And when I was a strategist or a producer, I felt like a fraud because I also had this ideation side of me, you see. And so
those are kind of at odds with each other, I guess. I mean, to some degree, you can make the argument.
Right. So I was, having, this fraud shame thing going on.
Sure.
It was really
I know that fraud shame thing. I know that thing. Sure. Happens to the best of us.
Then, so it validated me. And so I'll now share with you the other 3 strengths. My 3rd strength is relator. It's about building relationships. 4 is maximizer. And that's bringing people and projects to the pinnacle of excellence. And number 5 is woo, like woo.
I know. I just learned about woo. Please, will you share what woo is? Woo is awesome.
Yeah, it's about making connections for the first time. It's at a live event. It's working a room, making presentations, public speaking, persuading, being charming. All those things.
All the things that you are, actually. All the things you are, Larry. Those are all of you, by the way. Though you are woo. You embody woo. You're a woo guy.
I'm a woo guy.
You really are. And I feel like we'll make sure, too, in the show notes that we'll give links to the Gallup Strength Finders. And it's just, I couldn't agree with you more that taking that test it gives you incredible insight into who you are because they nail it. I did it in a group of 12 women this week as a part of a program that I'm in. And we took the thing, we shared on Tuesday, everyone went around the room and talked about what their top 5 were. And, we all had moments of just, even though we had already found our results out and we had already spent the weekend or the couple of days before that looking at them and reading all the things. But when you say it out loud and you relate it to other people, it becomes so much more real. And I saw these folks in the room, all entrepreneurs, by the way, in this room, talking about their top 5, just like you talked about yours and what you saw happen. And it's so beautiful is that they started recognizing where they hadn't given in to those strengths was where they were having the most problem.
Isn't that something?
It's so cool. I just think it's the most amazing thing that we are living these roles that we're supposed to live and we fight our own best strengths. And in fact, here's something that someone said this week, right? Tell me if you totally get this because I loved this. So a basketball player, okay? Someone wants to be a great all-star team, playoff winning basketball player. And they are really good at jumping. They can jump super high. They've got great stats around alley-oops and around, what do you call this, retrieval? What do you call that? When you grab the ball off. Rebound, thank you. Retrieval. See, I'm a dog person. So they're just super strong. And they look around at their teammates and there's another person on their team that they really kind of envy or they really idolize. And this person is very fast. They're fast, they're agile, they're kind of the superstar in many ways around that. And the guy says to his coach, "Hey coach, can we work on my speed? I know I'm a great jumper. I appreciate that I've been able to achieve at that, but I really want to work on my speed." And the coach says to him, "Sure, we can do that, and you'll get pretty good, and you'll get faster incrementally, maybe 10 or 20% faster. But if you take that same motivation and ambition that you are willing to put into becoming a faster runner, and you put it into your strength of being a jumper, you will be the best jumper in the world." And I've never heard that analogy. I've never heard that story. And as this woman was telling this and relating the story to all of us, I kind of had like a mini panic attack because I felt like that might be the best way I've ever heard anyone put the idea of stop fighting your strengths and lean into them and own them and don't worry about what other people are doing. Identify what those strengths are and just run and be the best at those. So you did that. I mean, you literally did that.
Amen. Great story. And again, back to now discover your strengths. Buckingham and the Gallup organization talk about the difference between backfilling weaknesses and amplifying strengths.
That's what this is. That's exactly what we're talking about.
When I do that, when I amplify my strengths instead of backfilling my weaknesses, although I'm always trying to become better, gooder, more, then I try to acquire those strengths by teaming up with, that fast runner or that great jumper.
Right.
So I really, really believe in that.
Right. Listen, on that awesome note, we're going to take a quick break and listen to some sponsors talk about some really good stuff, I'm sure. And then when we get back, we'll pick up on this and talk more. And let's, obviously Pets Mean Business is the show that's about pets. So let's click back and, what I think we'll focus on is how you went ahead and you did take those strengths and you did morph them into, your current situation. And then, of course, I want to really make sure we talk about the future and how you're going to continue to innovate. So stick around for a second with me, Larry. I know you're not going anywhere. And everybody else, you stick around too. This is Jamie Migdal. I'm your host on Pets Mean Business on Pet Life Radio Network. We will be back in a moment.
I have 2 cats and 2 dogs. All 4 of them are on the Dynovite. This stuff is amazing. The first day that I gave Sweet Pea and Daisy the Dynovite for cats, I did add a little bit of the Licka Chops, and they absolutely loved it. All the vitamins, the minerals, they also enjoyed the Num-Nums, the Nub-Nubs or whatever they're called, the treats that also came along with it.
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000. They're just running through the house. They're playing. My Sweet Pea will walk in front of me. She'll stop where she's at, drop, and roll onto her back, and then expect me to rub her belly. Just like a kitten. Daisy and Suki have a cat tree in my living room, and lately she's been climbing up to the top, jumping up there, and then she'll climb back down, and then she's right back up again. I'm sorry. I wish they would make a product for us humans to give us the same amount of energy and spunk that Dynovite for cats are given for my cats. The phone number is 859-428-1000.
859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
Want to know who the latest trendsetters are in Hollywood? How about Irish setters? Find out who's been spotted with Spot, chowing with their chow, and shopping for Gucci with their Poochie. Get the scoop on all the latest celebrity pet patter right here. Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets. Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hey guys, we're back. Larry and I were just talking on the break about how, and his words were unexpected turn. When you prepare for podcasts and you are preparing for, putting on the radio show and you're looking at, you do your research and Larry got, all of our guests we give them like a fact sheet. Here's what we're going to potentially talk about. And here are all the things you should know and be prepared for. And I was saying, I'm just so bad. And if you're a regular listener, you know that there's zero pattern, speaking of pattern recognition. But there are some guests, and Larry is obviously a prime example where when there's the magic there and there's a connection, the conversation does just flow into all of these really beautiful things. And I hope that you, as you're listening right now, I hope you're picking up on that this is an incredibly organic conversation. And I think that what's really lovely is that, we're sharing ideas around how to grow. And again, part of growth, bringing it all back to our I think the core messaging here is about innovation. All right. So before we went to break, Larry, you were talking about that you surround yourself with a team that, can help you with some of the deficits or gaps or things that are not your biggest strength. Now let's move into how you did that and got to 2.1 million Facebook fans. Cause something happened there, right? Because that's a pretty enormous accomplishment. So talk about that, please.
Thanks. I want to still roll back a little bit and say that before my Facebook success, the first big project that I did in the pet space was called Animal Wow, and it was a dog safety and dog care DVD for young children, like preschoolers. And it won a ton of awards. I got written up on the front page of the LA Times business section. It was picked up by PetSmart and was endorsed by the American Humane Association. I mean, it did all these great things. And, it sold a few copies. And
is that sarcastic? Wait, was that sarcastic?
No, it's true. No, it's absolutely true. It sold only a few copies. Okay. I lost a lot of money. The investors who I was able to attract by really high-quality entrepreneurs, they lost money. I had shame around it. I thought, well, just keep persevering and it will come. And you know what, Jamie? It didn't. It failed financially. I mean, it was a success creatively, but financially it was a failure. And I stuck to my guns about 2 years too long. So I finally declared, okay, I'm done. It's over. Financially it's a failure. It is what it is. I'm going to go do something else now. I don't know if it's in the pet space or what. And then as I had one foot out the door, magic happened. And to cut that, what could be a long story short, I ended up writing a book on dog training with President Obama's dog trainer, the late Dawn Sylvia Stazowitz. Wow. And it has become year over year, sold more and more and more, and has become now a bestseller on Amazon. And in meetings with my publisher, Workman Publishing, and we're in discussions about doing another book right now, they believe that the success of that book is due to my social media following. So those 5-star reviews on Amazon, if you are one of those people out there, thank you so much for one of those great 5-star reviews. They really matter.
Terrific. That's terrific.
Yeah. And so initially, Positively Woof was started to support that book and then a subsequent book called Life's a Bark. And I reinvested all of my advance money from my publisher on Life's a Bark, Sourcebooks, in Facebook advertising. And for a year and a half, I advertised every day on Facebook to attempt to attract new fans to my page, and it worked. Oh, lo and behold, finally, some spaghetti that I was throwing at the wall stuck.
Isn't that magical?
Yeah.
It wasn't spaghetti. Yeah. Listen, you had a recipe. You had some target. I mean, I get you're giving yourself a little bit less credit than you deserve. Again, this is the pattern recognition. This is the innovative thinking. This wasn't just like, oh, well, I guess I'll just try this. I mean, right? I mean, you have a great mind for this, and you're, again, playing to your strengths.
Thanks. Sometimes I'm incredulous when things work according to plan or according to vision. I mean,
right?
Would I say I had nowhere in my scope that I could possibly in any universe have 2 million Facebook fans? I mean, I probably thought about it at some point. I probably envisioned it. I certainly envisioned becoming some kind of pet media voice. But I don't know if I specifically envisioned 2 million Facebook fans, but that did happen.
I just got the chills, by the way. It happened, really, I mean, very organically. I just got the chills that you just, like, I hear it in your voice. I talk to a lot of people, not just because of the show. I mean, talk to a lot of people because, that's what happens in life. Well, that's what happens in life. Right? But I feel like when there's moments of true authenticity, I can't, like, this is amazing. I feel like that, like, when someone is in that moment, I love that moment because it's so human and so, it's just the beauty of life. And life can be, very challenging and have lots of ups and downs, but to have like a moment in anyone's life where they can go and they can look around and go, really? You just did that. And it gave me the chills. And I just think it's amazing. So please continue, Larry.
Thanks. Yeah,
you're welcome.
I'm really gratified by it. Being, in the beginning, a film TV guy, that's where I've been always pointing. And right now, in the other room, one of my 3 team members, Jimmy English, who is working on web films, that we now post 3 times a week, and soon we hope to ramp up to 7 new films, web films, every week on our Facebook page and the growing website and the YouTube and, all the rest of that. And I've been really focused on keeping that film, TV, web films vision.
So you're staying true to your initial passion as well, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes I'll even say everything that we've done up till now is prologue to what we're about to do. And I try to say that without arrogance.
Well, you can have a little. If it's the reality is if it's truth, it's not arrogance.
Amen.
Right?
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, just think about that. Just think about that for a second. When people are being braggadocious and what have you, it's arrogance. When people are just sharing their life experience and their goals and their dreams and their passions and their story, it's not even close to arrogance. It's just it's relating. And you are, again, that was one of your top 5. That was one of your top 5. So all right, please continue with, I want you to share how these films and you leveraging your media background and your film background, how that intersects with the pet space that you've created for yourself.
Right. So from time to time, I will draw up a strategic plan, and it looks like a chart, looks like a picture. Okay. And so typically in the past, it's been what's in the center, what's been the hub, and what have been the spokes off of the hub. And in the past, what was in the center of the hub was TV film. And the spokes were things like Facebook and book publishing and cause marketing and, all the rest of those goals. And because of the success that I've had with Facebook, now the strategic plan still looks like a hub with spokes, but because of the Facebook success, I've completely flipped around that chart, and now the hub is Facebook. And from that is videos and TV film and book publishing and all the rest of that. And the orientation is all toward cause marketing on behalf of shelter dogs.
So what does that look like? What would someone experience when they were looking at one of your new, for lack of a better term, projects or products?
Yeah. So the book publishing, the books that I've already described, the web films, in the past year, I've raised more than $25,000 for shelters, and one shelter in particular, Pet Orphans, in the San Fernando Valley of Los Angeles. And I would say those are the main things. I do have other projects that are part of that, and most significantly among them is a new cat project called Crimeless Cat. And the chief cat wrangler is Robbie Hess, who is pretty well known as a Whippin' star. She was nominated for Pet Woman of the Year by Whippin' and is very active in social media and teaches me a lot every week. And then we also are really gearing up to do more and more stories about other shelters and other causes around the country, and doing this incrementally with my third team member, Jarissa Akinde, whom I met at Pet Orphans as both of us volunteering there. And she's now the story editor and social media coordinator. Her story editing focuses on this now Shelter Stories initiative that you'll see mostly on our website, positivelyWoof.com.
So I have to ask you the big question, because I know people are thinking about it, and this is part of what we do. Pets mean business. Business means money. What are your revenue streams? How do you make money on all these wonderful things?
Yeah, the most significant way in which I make revenue is through the Facebook page. And it's not advertising that's on my Facebook page, but it's a publishing model, meaning I have relationships with some select online publishers. And when a guest comes and clicks on the thumbnail for one of those posts that I allow my publishers to post, or we post it for them.
Right, access to your audience, right?
Yeah, exactly. Then it goes to their website, to their domain, their destination, and their content is surrounded by advertising, and we do a revenue share based on that.
Okay. So you're doing, would it fall under the kind of the umbrella of affiliate marketing? Affiliate advertising?
I guess you could call it that. I refer to it more as a publishing model.
Yep.
I'm a syndicator,
okay.
In traditional media sense. I provide, through my platform, highly engaged
users, audience.
Enthusiasts, yeah. I tend to eschew the word users. It sounds kind of clinical.
No, it does.
And
you're right.
what I learned, especially in my days at Disney, is we always referred to people who were with us as guests, whether they came to the theme park or our online experience, they're guests.
You know what? You just changed something. You just, thank you, by the way.
You're welcome.
I just want to say thank you right now because you just made a huge impact on me. I have FetchFind, which is a digital platform, and we do online learning amongst other things. And in the space of being in the digital world, we're constantly looking at our metrics, especially because I have investors and we have, it's a sizable operation, et cetera. And we're always using the word users. That's how everything is measured, right? Especially in the tech world, everything is measured against the word users. And every time I have to use the word users or, look at it on our metric reporting or discuss it in a meeting or any kind of strategy session, I always feel a little dirty. I don't know how else to put that. I always feel a little dirty. I'm like, they're not users. They're the people who I care about. But okay, they're an audience. They're clients.
I invite you to change people's minds by using the word guests or audience or fans. And if you want to, then start by in parentheses put users.
Yeah, I really just wrote myself a note. I don't even take notes many times during podcasts because I feel like I'm just really wanting to be engaged. If I start writing, then it goes into other thoughts, and I don't want to do that. But I did just grab a Post-it note and write down users with a big arrow with a big line through it. So thanks. I think that you may have just given a gift to a lot of people just now. That's really awesome. Okay, sorry. So basically what we're getting to or distilling down to is that you have found a way to leverage your audience for purposes of revenue driving.
Yeah. The piece that I'm looking at that's currently a blocking issue is how to increase revenue on our videos, which I'm now funding through the revenue that comes in, but we haven't figured out a way to directly monetize that yet, or we haven't closed the deal on that yet. And the vision that I'm holding is that we'll have an omnibus sponsor who will sponsor all of the films that we do in a month, which are at least 12 every month. But with some funding, I think we're going to get close to 30, one per day.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
So we're looking at different sponsorship integration possibilities to do that. The Facebook platform doesn't currently allow a pre-roll, as does the YouTube platform. I don't have the audience on YouTube, and so I'm trying to create innovative ways of integrating sponsorship and giving a lot of sponsorship value on my Facebook page, because the video views that we have on Facebook are through the roof. I mean, we're just well over 10 million video views right now. And
so that's a metric that you can obviously leverage and you can talk about and you can sell to, is that wonderful metric.
That's right. I hope so. And that said, I'm not the sales guy.
You're pretty woo.
Well, thank you. I may be woo, but it's like where my highest and best use is in what you might call product development, in creating these videos, these stories, the strategy, and then partnering with those people who are expert and have those, relationships, to close those deals for sponsors and all the rest.
I get that. In fact, offline, because we do have to unfortunately start closing up here, which is a huge bummer because I'm really enjoying this conversation from a whole bunch of levels and a whole bunch of angles, and I'm sure that listeners are also, because this is super engaging and interesting. We can talk offline because I think maybe I can share some experiences. I'd love to hear some of your experiences. I think we share a bit of a space around some of the things that you're doing, so let's make sure we do that. See, guys, there's also things that come from podcasting that you don't even know could happen. All these, don't you all want to listen to our offline conversation? All right. So on that note, Lair, as much as I hate to bring this to an end, is there anything else? I never say this, but I'm going to say this to you. Is there anything else that you want to make sure you share, that you communicate, that you talk about? We'll have in the show notes all of the places to find you. PositivelyWolf.com and Positively Wolf on Facebook is obviously which is the primary source to find you, correct?
Yeah, that's all good. I would really encourage, all of us in sharing, in being in a community and not being in our own silos is to, I believe that a rising tide will lift all boats. And the extent to which that we can help one another and support one another, there is room for us. And to believe that in my bones gives me a spirit of abundance rather than a spirit of scarcity. It really allows me to go forward powerfully and positively and to support your best visions of yourself if I'm confident in my bones that by growing you, I'm also going to benefit because, again, the rising tide will lift all boats.
I have nothing to add. So on that note, everybody, that was so gorgeous. We will go ahead and say goodbye. And I will thank you very much for listening to Pets Mean Business on the Pet Life Radio Network. I'm Jamie Migdal. I am your host. I want to thank I would say that you're like a super enlightened guy on many levels. I know you probably don't feel that way, but you have a lot of great enlightenment, and you really shared that, and that really came across to me and to everybody else. So thank you, Larry. Thank you.
It's really been fun.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Okay, guys, so next time, we'll see you soon. In the meantime, if you need me, if you need anything, if you have any questions, you know where to find me, Jamie at PetLifeRadio.com or Jamie at FetchFind.com. And Mark Winter, you're the best producer in the whole world, and I adore you. And thank you so much for listening. You're all awesome. Go do stuff. Bye.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.